Hi and welcome to the Beer Temple. I am Chris Quinn and we're doing kind of an anniversary show today. Not an anniversary show for me per se, but an anniversary show for Pipeworks. Before I get into that, I wanted to say I put a message out on Facebook and I just wanted to repeat it here. I sound like a broken record, but it's a broken record that I think is worth hearing. Thank you guys so much for all the beers you've been sending me. It means the world to me. A lot of them will make it on the show. I know some of you guys just drop them off at the store for sharing, and they will be shared. They do not just go into my personal collection, I promise. I do share them with everyone. So thank you guys so much. It means so much to me. Thank you. So anyway, the Pipeworks, about a year ago, almost a year ago today, it was a year ago yesterday, I posted a show with the very first Pipeworks beer ever brewed. It was called Ninja vs. Unicorn, which has kind of gone on into, not infamy, but into fame since then. And it was a tiny little startup, actually a Kickstarter funded startup, a nano brewery here in Chicago, right around the corner from my store actually, called Pipeworks. A couple of guys, BJ and Garrett, they've since expanded from there. Personnel-wise. Started really just brewing a whole bunch of stuff on a tiny little system, which they still have, and they're getting ready to expand from, which is great. But these guys started on a tiny little system. They self-distribute. Really, it's them packing these cases into their car and going. So it was just kind of interesting to see these guys' models. They really only bottle. I mean, they keg very, very, very limited amounts. They are putting out new beers or a new release, if not a new beer. They'll be re-brewing a beer every week, at least one a week, I've found, in large format only. And, you know, I wasn't quite sure what to make of it, you know? I mean, that's a lot of stuff to throw on the wall and see what sticks, if you know what I mean. There's a lot of opportunities to fail there, and Pipeworks has done anything but that. So about a month ago or so, they were actually named the #1 new brewery in the world by Ratebeer.com. Number 2 was the Tired Hands shirt, Tired Hands, and I wear the shirt sometimes, so shout out to those guys as well from Ardmore, Pennsylvania, my home stomping grounds. And I wanted to just take the time, and it's been a year later, and see what these guys have been up to. I did not do Ninja vs. Unicorn again. I've already done that on the show. But one thing that I would like to mention is that, you know, these guys are constantly redoing and refining their recipes. So even when they do a rebrew, it's not going to be the same, for better or for worse. Like I said, they're on a tiny little system. In fact, I think they have to do 2 or 3 brews per batch. And they're also all over the board stylistically. So, you know, it's very interesting. I think it plays very well into today's marketplace for beer, especially with younger consumers, but not entirely. Always something new, always something fresh, a lot of big hoppy IPAs that people love. And, you know, it's kind of hard to get. And people love, you know, rare. Rare is the, whatever, the undiscovered sense, or the undiscovered flavor. You know, sweet, sour, bitter, salty, and, you know, rare, or umami as well. So, anyway, you know, I have a little bit of mixed feelings, I'm not gonna lie about that. I think I'm just maybe not with it. I'm not hip or cool enough. I'm more into having a couple beers that you kind of really refine the recipe on. But these guys have proven me wrong time and time again. But, you know, the good thing is people, because they're so sought after, they're seeking these Pipeworks so hard, they'll buy pretty much anything by them. And as a result, they'll try a lot of styles that they won't have had before, which to me is great. Kudos to Pipeworks for doing that, introducing people to new styles. You know, I said they do a lot of double IPAs, which they do, but they also do a lot of spiced beers, and they're starting to do some tart beers as well, which is where I'm going to start. This is their Berliner Weiss. They've done a couple fruited versions, but this is the second batch of their unfruited version called Flower Child. Berliner Weiss is a traditional wheat beer from Berlin. It is an ale, and it is typically soured with some lactobacillus. Now, Pipeworks uses a sour mash, I believe, to attain this tartness, which is not the traditional method, but I think the end result is pretty good, I have found, but let's see. It's a nice, clean, yogurty note to it. These beers are typically very low alcohol, so this is 3.5%, which is right in there with where you want it to be. These are supposed to be refreshing, quaffing beers with a nice tartness that makes them drinkable. There is a little bit of like a grain husk note here. Definitely some yogurty, lactic notes. And a little bit of a little edge to that tartness as well. Very clean. That husky graininess follows all the way through. A little bit of a mustiness on this one that I didn't get on the first batch as well. Good, refreshing, somewhat tart, not overly tart at all, which is fine by me. And you know, a little bit of almost like a lemony fruitiness as well. This is a good beer. I'm gonna go with this guy, an 88. I think it's a solid Berliner, and I think it's one that if you haven't had the chance to try the style, is good. It's good to go for this one. You know, that is the Flower Child from Pipeworks. All right, now on to all beers I have not had before, as I look at my clock and realize I should be open by now. That is becoming, sadly, a recurring theme, and I just used a second. All right, so this is the Blood of the Unicorn. Now, there's a lot of ninjas and a lot of unicorns in their beers. I don't really know the story behind that, but I'm sure there is one. Should probably have asked the guys. This is an Imperial Red. Just came out. It was delivered to my shop yesterday, so it's going to be very, very fresh. But there's this kind of ongoing battle with their beers between the Ninja and the Unicorn. So it looks like in this one, the Ninja has won because it's the blood and it's a dead unicorn, and it's very sad, actually. Very hoppy, very aggressively hopped. Kind of an earthy pine and wood, almost like a bark or a cedar note to it. Trying to find some underlying malt, and it is there, but it's definitely playing second fiddle. But there is a little bit of a caramely note. Let's see what it tastes like. Full mouthfeel. Sweeter than I thought. It's also more bitter. Quite a bit of bittering hops in here. Take one more sip. Gonna try to warm it up just a hint. Tell me this malt flavors come out. It's nice. You know, it's an Imperial Red. To me, it reminds me of a big, chewy Midwest IPA. Tons of bitterness on here. If you like bitter, this is the beer for you. You know, well-made beer, hop to hell, bitter to hell. Just enough malt in there to back it up. You know, Imperial Red, you know, for Imperial Red, I usually want a ton of malt in there. That's just me. For what it is, it's a nice beer. I'm gonna go 89 with this. I have a little bit more than the Flower Child. Hold on. Forgot to lock my door. Well, friends just know to pop in the back door apparently, so that's fine. I think I gave this an 89, so let's move on. Okay, now on to the new guys. In fact, I'm gonna switch this around. So apparently when, before Pipeworks even began, there were 4 double IPA recipes that BJ, the head brewer, wanted to brew. The first being Ninja vs. Unicorn. I think the second was Citra Ninja, but I could be wrong. I think Galaxy Ninja was another one, but I could be wrong. And then the fourth, which they finally were just able to make, was this Unicorn's Revenge. So let's do Galaxy Unicorn. This is a double IPA with wheat, and I'm using the oh so popular Galaxy hop, the Australian hop. So, give myself a... This beer is, I think, maybe 2 or 3 weeks old, so it should be very, very fresh still. Really nice orange, hazy look to it. Fluffy white head. It's actually a pretty attractive beer. If I poured a whole glass, it would be nice. Certainly not the clearest beer, and usually that is the case with their stuff. There's so much spicing going on or hopping. You know, you're obviously not going to get crystal clear beers, obviously. Really rich, ripe, almost like an orange nectar, which I don't know if that exists, but if you got those kind of mandarin orange that come in the syrup, I'm getting a little bit of that. I also get a little bit of like again, a cedar note to it. I'm wondering if just the 2 or 3 weeks sitting in a fridge the whole time, it shouldn't have really dropped off at all. Some kind of pineapple lifesaver going on. You know, so like a candied note. A lot of hops. So much that you can kind of feel them on your mouth. A lot of that candied lifesaver thing going on. Some mango, tropics, you know. Grapefruit for sure, like a ruby red grapefruit. And some of that kind of earthiness too, which I like. I dig that kind of cedary earthiness. A good caramel or a good malt backing to it. You know, it's not bone dry. I do get some malt in there, which is nice. Yeah, it's a good beer. Nice clean finish. You know, it doesn't, you know, go on forever, but I am getting the components of the malt and the hops and, you know, the aromatic hops, the flavor hops, and the bittering hops at the end. It's a really nice beer. I'm gonna go 91 with the Galaxy Unicorn. Remember, this is my new trying to be tougher scoring. Not everything can be a 95, but a 91 is a pretty good beer. You know, that's an A-. Pretty good. And now the newest one. This one has more kind of Western Hemisphere hops. This is Unicorn's Revenge. So I guess Unicorn died, you know, went off to the galaxy and is now back and beating up ninjas now. So I think it's got Nelson Sauvin hops and I don't know what else in here. It's got New Zealand hops, which to me means Nelson Sauvin. Another double IPA. What do we got for 10% alcohol, 9.5% alcohol? They are not afraid to put the big bad boys out here. This beer is, I think, about a week or so old, and a little more orange than the Galaxy Unicorn. Much fruitier. You know, Nelson Sauvin is known for that grapey flavor, and I certainly get that here. But also just a general kind of juicy fruit thing going. Maybe a little, I don't know about blueberry, but fruit. Maybe even like apple. Or apple blossom. Grape all day, grape leaves. Trying to warm it up. Warm it up, Chris. Again, you can almost feel those hops, those resins on your teeth and your mouth as you're swishing it around. Incredibly hopped. Even more bitter than the Galaxy Unicorn. Quite a lot of bitterness here. A smack in the face of kind of fruity punch. Solid beer. There is some residual sweetness to, you know, make it not bone dry. I think it adds to the drinkability of these beers, especially at 10%. They're not the most drinkable beers, you know, at any 10% beer. I do have a little bit of glow in my mouth from the alcohol, but it's a solid beer. I really like it. I think the Nelson Sauvin hops are fun, and I think they're a little bit different, which I always like. Probably my favorite of all of these so far. I'm gonna go 92, what did I do, 89, 99, and 192. Maybe they're warming up and they just taste better. But you know, not really a bad one out of the bunch. And you know, it's reasons like that. If you can pop out a ton of double IPAs that taste pretty darn good, you're onto some good things, and that's why Ratebeer, you know, when they did their numbers, realized that these guys were the best new brewery in the world for last year, 2012. So there you go, guys. That's what Pipeworks is all about. Come on by the store and buy some of these guys if you want. They're always rotating out. I've got about 15 or something. Not that I'm not making this a commercial. I'm more telling you about these breweries, this brewer. Just tons and tons of new stuff coming from them all the time. So yeah, they're just a fun little local guy, brewery, and I'm happy to have them in my store. And it's just kind of cool to literally have had the batch one, or the first beer that they released, it wasn't technically batch one, and see how they've kind of gone on in the next year. They've done very, very well. Guys, thank you so much. I promise, be getting these things coming out more and more often. No more of the week and a half in between shows, I promise. Keep the comments coming. I always prefer them on the website, I'm not gonna lie. But iTunes reviews are always great, as well as Facebook and Twitter, and just shoot me an email as well. That's always fine. Thanks, guys, so much. Until then, I've got some great double IPA brewed right around the corner from the best new brewery in the world to drink, and hopefully you do too. Bye.